It's my privilege and honor to welcome the Rabbi Jon Haddon to the pulpit this morning. So, Rabbi Jon, would you like to give us a word?
Thank you, Reverend Dell, and your wonderful church and parishioners. David, I was listening very closely to the beautiful commentary on Isaiah, and I realize I'm in big trouble. I'm 77. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 100. And I'm always reminded that in the state of Israel, they always quote Isaiah 65 about the lion laying down with the lamb, except they say in Israel, the lamb's not going to get a lot of sleep. Dear friends, I happen to be one of the last human beings on earth to have become relatively computer literate. But the computer is a great blessing. It has changed our lives in many ways. I can sit at my desk at home and send a message to someone at the other end of the world, and that person can receive it in milliseconds and can respond. But this morning I want to tell you the story of a woman who sent a message via the computer, not from the other end of the world, but from way further than that. Let me tell you the story of a woman who sent a message to her family from the Olam Haba, the world to come. Her name was Ann Nelson. She lived in Stanley, North Dakota, wherever that is, located, in case you didn't know, halfway between the towns of Minot and Williston in North Dakota. Ann Nelson left home when she finished high school and went to an Eastern college. She graduated with a major in economics, and then she went on to graduate school and got an MBA. And when she did what all MBAs do. She headed for New York City to seek employment in the business world. And one day in early 2001, she called her parents in North Dakota with great excitement to tell them the great news that she had gotten a job as a bond trader at Cantor Fitzgerald. Recognizing the name of Cantor Fitzgerald, you know the rest of the story. Cantor Fitzgerald was the company that was located on the 104th floor of the World Trade Center. And so that was the company where most of its employees died on September 11th, 2001. And Nelson died that day too. And they never found her body. She is one of about 1,000 people that they never found the bodies. But they did find some of her personal belongings, including her computer, and someone sent them to her parents. It was a Dell, of all names, a Dell Inspiration 8000. I don't know if you're related to that company, but if you are, you're going to own this church. It was a Dell Inspiration 8000 that she had brought with her when she came to Cantor Fitzgerald from North Dakota. Her parents had no idea how to use a computer, and so they put it away in the basement where it gathered dust for a number of years. Her mother says that she didn't touch it, first because she's not very handy with computers, and second, because touching something that belonged to their daughter was just too painful. So it lay there in the basement gathering dust until one day, a couple of students from the art class she was taking came to the house and saw the computer. They offered to teach her how to use it, and so Mrs. Nelson finally opened her daughter's computer. She pushed the power button to on, first step when you have a computer, and saw the darkness of the screen give way to light. At first, all she would do on the computer was play games, solitaire and hearts. Playing those games relaxed her somewhat, and it reminded her of the games she used to play with her daughter Anne when Anne was young. And somehow when she played these games, it made her feel as if Anne was still there beside her. Playing solitaire and hearts on her daughter's computer became a daily routine. But she never bothered to span or to open any of her daughter's files. And then one day she noticed a file on the computer screen called My Top 100. She figured it was probably some music that her daughter liked to listen to. But for some reason, who knows why, Ann Nelson's mother clicked this file on. Much to her surprise, what she found in that file was a list of goals that Anne had set for herself, some reached, some not. It was a list that reflected this young woman's commitment to the serious and to the frivolous, to all of life. That night, Ann Miller's parents sat down in front of the computer, and as they read the list, they felt as if they were once again with their daughter. Listen to the list. Number 1, watch my health. Number 2, be a good friend. Number 3, keep secrets. Number 4, keep in touch with the people I love and who love me. And number 5, make a quilt. When she saw that one, Mrs. Miller wept, for she was the one who had taught her daughter how to quilt. And she remembered how much she used to love it when they worked on a quilting project together. It made them feel so close. Number 6, visit Nepal. Their daughter wanted to visit Nepal. Where's Nepal, the parents said to themselves. And why would anyone from Stanley, North Dakota, want to visit Nepal? When they saw that item on their daughter's list of things she planned to do, they feared that perhaps she had outgrown them and outgrown their little provincial town. And then they saw the next item on their daughter's list, which was 7, buy a home in North Dakota. At this point, her father wept, for it means that their daughter dreamed of someday coming back home. Number 8, get a PhD in economics. 9, learn a foreign language. 10, climb Mount Kilimanjaro. 11, never be ashamed of who I am and where I came from. When they read that one, both her parents smiled, because Anne had been in lots of places where being a country bumpkin from North Dakota was not exactly the greatest honor in the world. She had gone to fancy colleges and worked in some of the most prestigious offices in New York City, but she always conveyed pride in who she was, who her parents were, and where she came from. Number 12, be the kind of person my parents will be proud of. 13, always keep improving. 14, read something every day. 15, keep informed, not only in my field, but also other fields of knowledge as well. 16, knit a sweater for my sister on her birthday. Number 17, learn to scuba dive. Number 18, volunteer at a charity. And number 19, this is very important to me, learn to cook better. Her mother smiled when she read that because Anne was already a fairly good cook. And then she remembered the time she got a long-distance call from New York that began, Mom, what's clarified butter? And the time she got a long-distance call that began, Mom, I've got a really nice guy coming for dinner next week. What should I make? Number 26, or 20 rather. Learn more about art. 21, get my CPA. 22, ski with my dad. 23, spend more time with my family. 24, remember birthdays. When they saw that, Anne's parents smiled because Anne was always big on birthdays, hers and other people's too. She would celebrate her birthday not for a day, but for a week, because her father's birthday came the next day after hers, and because she was proud to have been born on Norwegian Independence Day. She would have been 33 today, Mrs. Miller said, as she wiped away a tear. 25, appreciate money, but don't worship it. 26, learn more about how to use a computer. 27, visit the New York Public Library more often and bookstores less often. 28, obviously I need my glasses. Visit Maine. I hear it's really nice in the summertime. 29, walk. It is not only good exercise, it enables you to see the city, to really see the city, not just the way it looks from a car or a cab. Number 30, learn about other cultures. 31, learn how to be a good listener so that people will listen to you. 32, make time for your friends, especially when they need you. And number 33, kayak. That one had 3 exclamation points after it. Although as far as her parents know, Anne never got around to doing it. 34, drink bottled water even though mom and dad think it is total nonsense. 35, learn about wine. The parents winced when they read that one because Anne was scheduled to go to a wine tasting party that evening, September 11th. She never made it. After 35, there was a number 36 on the list, but it was left blank. And Mr. and Mrs. Nelson say that they love to read this list, which they have taken off of her computer. They read it to themselves often because they feel that it is an inventory of their daughter's values. Quote, she didn't have any fancy cars in her garage. She didn't have any of those luxuries that young people are so attracted to these days. But if you look at this list, you can see who she was and what she really cared about. And so every few days now, in a small house in the very small town of Stanley, North Dakota, which is located halfway between the towns of Minot and Williston, a light goes on in the basement, and the screen of a laptop computer goes from darkness to light, and 2 bereaved parents click onto the file that is called My Top 100. What a touching document. The list that Ann Miller left behind on her computer when she died, the list of the 100 things that she most wanted to do in her life, most of which she never, ever got to do. And isn't it fortuitous that Anne came to number 36? I'm looking at my beautiful congregant, Gwen Green, in the congregation. Gwen, what do you know about the number 18? Chai. Now, Gwen knows that. She actually listened to me once in a sermon, which is rare. Aleph, Beit, if you count in Hebrew. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, if you counted 8. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud is 10. 10 and 8 is Got a bunch of geniuses in this congregation. They know that 10 and 8 is 18. So you give gifts. Jewish people often give gifts in denominations of 18. Why? Because it spells a real word. Chet in Yud equals the word chai, life. So very often we give gifts in chai. If you're real lucky, you get a gift of 10 chai, $180. But twice chai is 36. That was the number that she got to on that list. The word for life, double life, chai. And for all of us this morning. And how I wish we could let Ann Miller and her family know that of the 658 men and women of Cantor Fitzgerald who died that morning, 60 of their children are now working at Cantor Fitzgerald. Amen.